To the CISO Series video chat. I have got questions. Our topic is hacking the SaaS ecosystem. I'm going to start with you, Sean Bowen. Sean, tell me, give me just one piece of good advice on securing a SaaS ecosystem.
Inventory all of your SaaS products and make sure there's no shadow IT.
Easier said than done. All right. Misha, give me a bad idea or a bad advice, excuse me. Give me bad advice on securing your SaaS ecosystem.
To continue on Sean's idea, just install everything right away. Every SaaS service you can find and think of, minimal friction during usage. Excellent.
Okay, install right away. I need worse advice than Misha's, Sean.
Yeah, I was originally going to go with that, but I think I'll have to go with don't use any closed SaaS products. Use only open SaaS products like Discord and Twitter to do all of your internal coordination.
I have a feeling our chat room is going to come up with...
Welcome, everybody. The CISO Series video chat is ready to begin.
Worse ones than that. Hey, everybody. Welcome to CISO Series video chat. My name is David Spark. Our topic today is hacking the SaaS ecosystem, an hour of critical thinking about integration and automation across cloud environments. Hey, you just saw our two guests. They are Sean Bowen, the CISO of World Fuel Services, who is our most frequent guest on the CISO series. I want to point that out because I'm almost 99% positive of that. And a first-time guest is Misha Seltzer, who is the CTO and co-founder of Atmosec. Hey, guess what? Atmosec, they're the sponsor of today's video chat. So thrilled to have them joining us. All right, there are lots of ways to participate. There is the chat room, which many of you have discovered. To submit your worst idea for SaaS security. I am so confident that you will come up, the audience I'm referring to, way worse ideas than what Misha and Sean came up with. Submit, how do we make it 10% better? Then vote in the polls. Join us on video with Bring Me On. Ask a question, please. You see at the bottom of the screen, there is an option to ask a question. Click on that and go ahead and ask a question. We want your questions on this whole area of SaaS security, of which I know there's plenty of issues. And you can vote for your favorite question at any time as well. All right, today's schedule, you just saw it. Good advice, bad advice, worse advice. Then we want your worst idea for SaaS security. Also, how do we make it 10% better? We will put the poll live at 20 minutes past the hour. Vote for your worst idea in SaaS security. And at 20 minutes past the hour, we will also play I Object, and Bryn, who is our winner of the best bad idea from last week, will be joining us for playing I Object. Bryn, I hope you're ready. Then at 30 minutes past the hour, we'll be playing the Department of Yes. Again, I'm so confident you're going to have good, bad ideas that we're going to be playing those. And oh, by the way,
send them in. We need your bad ideas.
All right, at 40 minutes past the hour, you'll vote for how do we make it 10% better. Oh, and I'm going to come to you, Sean, in a second. You're going to explain why we don't think we get enough good ideas. I'd like his theory here. He'll explain that at the beginning. And last questions and final votes and our meetup. All right, quick, because I have a few more slides to show. Sean, why don't you think we get enough good ideas?
I think particularly in this format, we don't have enough time to spell out the entire good idea. And so we give the high level, basically the title of the good idea, and everyone piles on like, you missed this, you missed that, you missed that. Like, no shit, we missed that. It's a one-line chat. Calm down. So
all right,
share your good ideas.
Sean said, no piling up on other people's good ideas. What we want you to do, if you're going to trash anybody's ideas, trash the bad ones. Next Friday, Hacking Promises of Automation. That should be Friday the 11th, not 2/4. That's today. But it'll be Hacking the Promises of Automation. And in fact, if you look at the very bottom of the screen, there's a link to register for next week's video chat. You can click at that at any time, and it will not take you out of this video chat whatsoever. You can still be in this video chat. So go ahead and do that. And the reason you want to do that is if you register by 5 p.m. next Tuesday, you're automatically entered in a raffle to win one of these awesomes. You see Sean wearing one and me wearing these awesome CISO jackets. And what's even cooler than that is we're redesigning the logo. So you'll get the brand new style that's coming out. All right. Oh, that's Atmosec. We'll get back to that as well. So thank you very much. Let me go over here and shut this down, and let's start this darn discussion. All right. We're already 5 minutes into this. All right. My very first question, I will start with you, Misha. What are organizations trying to do with SaaS solutions today that they weren't doing a few years ago? So I think what I'm trying to set the stage is why is this more complicated now?
Yeah, so I think first of all, there's a growth of SaaS for a while now, but the COVID situation even accelerated even further. People have so much SaaS that they can't even figure out what to do in which system. And the growth that we see the most right now is not necessarily adding more SaaS, but connecting those SaaSes together, automating processes between those SaaS services, and integrating more of those together.
All right. Sean, what do you think of the situation? Adding to Misha?
Yeah, no, I think Misha nailed it. One thing I was going to say on here, I see one person commenting on is how many people, and be honest in the chat, how many people have never heard of SSPM?
I haven't.
Yeah, that's literally what we're talking about today. The topic today is hacking SSPM, like, to an extent. I mean, it's more than that.
So explain.
So yeah, SaaS security posture management, right? Just like cloud security posture management, and
Right.
and we're talking about managing the SaaS piece of it, and it's something. It's the and Misha and I talked about this before, and we were kind of getting through this. It's we all talk about how we internally are going to communicate with the cloud. That's, CASBs are kind of managing that communication. But this conversation we're really talking about is how the two SaaSes are connecting to make that triangle, right? We are managing the two legs from us to the SaaS, but we're not actively monitoring and managing that last leg where the two SaaSes are connected to each other and are creating potential threat vectors that we haven't seen. Because that's connecting from other sources, not just the two that we know about. There's more connecting in and exposing us.
All right. By the way, we have our first question that's coming in. This comes in from Dustin Sachs, and I'm gonna mend also your question, Dustin. So Dustin asks, what is the biggest challenge in moving to a predominantly SaaS model? And I'm also going to add in, I remember going to the AWS reInvent conference a while back, and I was asking people, questions about their IT department, and most people were like, "What IT department? We are fully cloud-based." So my feeling, correct me if I'm wrong, going to go with you, Misha, it is wise if you are starting greenfield to try to push all cloud SaaS-based, and essentially not go, and again, This is different given whatever your organization is, but for most sort of upstarts, this would be the wise way to go. Why is this good? And A, to do it that way, to go 100% that way. And then B, if I'm shifting all the way there, what are my issues? So I'm asking two questions there. Misha.
Yeah, so I think it's a really good idea to go full SaaS right now. Also, again, COVID, people working from home, working from coffee shops, there's no real on-prem. Even on-prem is now SaaS, right? I'm connecting to my cloud that happens to sit in some office somewhere. There are no firewalls in coffee shops, and no good firewalls at home for most people. So just putting it all on SaaS, products that are built to be accessed from afar is a good idea. One of the challenges here, one of the new things that happen is that when everything is in the cloud, there are much less controls to the IT department or the security department, the CISO, to figure out what is out there. Because as a user, I don't need my IT department to install Slack. I can go and expense Slack myself and use it in my team. And then when things start connecting to that, start moving actual PII information or intellectual property through that, there's no visibility to the teams that need to secure that.
All right. What do you think about the fully SaaS model yourself, Sean? Whether you're starting greenfield or you're trying to migrate in that direction?
Yeah, so World Fuel, to talk a little bit about us, we've gone from 22 data centers down to 20 globally, and we're getting rid of the last two. So we're obviously going to have some IaaS and PaaS running a lot of our stuff, but where we can, we're going into that SaaS model to support us. So we're going in there. But the concern I would have hearing someone respond the way they did to you, David, would be, do they know what they're getting into? I think that's the concern with a lot of IT in general. You know, we talk about social media and all this other stuff. People don't understand that posting a picture of their, their mail can give their, like, they're not making those dots connected. And that same problem's happening in IT organizations, especially as the small and medium businesses that just want to move fast, and they're just signing, hey, this is good, to sign up a salesperson, no offense, salespeople, convince them that this is a great product. And then they sign up and they don't take in all of the considerations because they're just looking at what it's solving for them, and not the repercussions of it. And so that's my concern as the total picture is you still need an IT department, for lack of a better term, because you need someone that understands what risk you're exposing yourself to. You might not have an IT operations department, but you still need some sort of security review on that. And that's no matter what you do, you need that.
So you cannot have an IT department, but some kind of security review. And I think that's the key element. And let me also just throw out a couple of comments that were made in the chat room. One from Anatoly C. Fully SaaS model equals you own nothing, with a little smiley face. And Paul said, quote, put it all on SaaS sounds a lot like hell, put it all on red, which I think that's kind of an apropos comment, because if you just say it without what you just said, Sean, with, well, you do still need security, even though you don't have an IT department, it has that kind of ring to it. So I like that.
Yeah, the zero trust architecture, right? It depends on identity. So no matter what you do, you buy a bunch of SaaS products, you still have to authenticate specific user digital entities to get access to it. And so there's still a level of understanding that needs to be applied to managing those systems.
Misha, here's a question from Joshua Berger. What do you say to customers who need to self-host SaaS apps for compliance or requirements reasons? And have you seen this happen with your customers?
So we actually see that happening less and less. We see
and why?
more. That's a good question. We see more cases of people that had to store things on-prem and still used products that are built to be SaaS products, but hosted them on-prem. Like, for example, we see a lot of people still using on-prem GitLab for the code, because due to compliance, they have to host the code locally. But now those compliances actually getting removed, and those people are now trying to work their way of moving the GitLab back to the cloudly GitLab, which is usually more featureful.
So let me just pause you just for a second. So are you saying, and that's what I'm hearing, is that all these compliance and requirements about requiring self-hosting are starting to deteriorate?
I think they're starting to ease. So I don't see them becoming worse. I actually do see them becoming easier, and more people can put things on cloud today than they could 2 years ago. And to the question of why those changes are happening, I can probably guess that it's somehow connected again to COVID and everyone working from home, and things have to become more open anyways. So companies, I've heard about banks that did not allow any work from home. Everything was on-prem, no working from home at all. And suddenly COVID started, no one could come to work. They had to start doing work from home. They had to start opening ports in their firewall so that employees could connect. And the difference between that and putting it on a cloud on something that they trust is not very big difference. So maybe that's the reason we see it's easing.
Do you see it easing, Sean? And I mean, you've dealt with pretty high regulatory organizations, and is this element of you must self-host it starting to fall away?
Yeah, and you see that with a lot of updates in various pieces from regulatory legal documentation, as well as even like ISO's updating their controls this year. So I think that's happening with a lot of different things. The governance process is slow. It takes a long time to type up a document and get everyone to review it and comment on it. And that's what we're really talking about, right? And PCI 4 is coming out this year. I wouldn't be surprised if that drops a lot of archaic requirements. And so where I used to work when I worked in the government with the intelligence agencies. I mean, that was 5 years ago. We were going all in on the cloud stuff. Now a little bit different there, where we bought our own cloud. We, that's a different world, but it's as long as they are solved. So in my past at RBI, we had a situation where we were using a hosting environment to do some work, and they were not themselves PCI certified as to host us, even though they had no access to it. So we had to move it to a certified hosting environment. And so that's one of those things where the more that the providers are becoming certified to get from their standpoint, they're trying to get business. So they're trying to get that hosting certification and helping change that slow giant ship and changing the governance policy. So I agree. I think it's starting to go away, and it's not sustainable. Our staffing collectively, not just cybersecurity, but IT is behind the curve. Everyone's short. And the last thing you need is another administrator to manage on-prem assets. And so I think that's helping push that regulatory component as well.
All right, let me remind you, we have 4 minutes before we're going to be putting up the poll for the bad ideas. And we only have 16, I've been told. Only 16 bad ideas. You are all slacking. If you have any good ideas, Andrew, tell me in the back channel if we have any good ideas. Wait a second. Sean, your comment has really juiced this audience. We have 12 good ideas, which we never had that many. We've never had good, because I always give them crap that they're full of bad ideas and no good ideas. And now, quite the opposite. I can promise you,
Dutch is not in that list. Dutch is not in that list. There's no way he comes up with a good idea.
For those of you who are new, Dutch is our whipping boy, I think is what it is. Or a punching bag.
He's our mascot.
But I will tell you, Dutch has won many, many best bad ideas. In fact, Andrew, I think we need to update that, and we're going to publish that. We had a roster of the people who have won the best bad idea the most times.
We need a leaderboard.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Leaderboard. It was a leaderboard of those. Andrew did create that, and maybe he can give us an update of who's on the top of the leaderboard right now. But anyways, you only have 3 minutes to get your bad ideas in for the poll. But you can, by the way, keep getting bad ideas in to be eligible to win the jacket too. So keep getting them in all throughout the day. But get those bad ideas in, and then the poll will go up. And then also you can register for our video chat that is happening in 1 week. All right. I want to get into the topic of SaaS automations with you, Misha. And by the way, at this point, please give us a clue how AtmosSec is dealing with kind of things. But what I want to understand is what kind of automations are happening now with SaaS products that did not happen on premise, or just whether they did or didn't. Just what are the more aggressive automations that are happening in SaaS?
So I'll actually say more than that. We have SaaS for a while now, and there's a growing trend of, I would call it, democratization of the SaaS. It's no longer that if you want to install something or connect something to a SaaS product that you have to go to IT. There are more options for the end users to connect, to integrate, and to automate themselves. There are products like Zapier and Workato that allow that very easily. And also there's kind of every SaaS service that is big enough is trying to have a marketplace. We get Zoom that only enabled a marketplace like a half a year ago. HubSpot just published that they finally crossed the 1,000 application line. There's a lot of that, and it's all given to the users to install, to the users to control, to the users to set up without even having to go through the IT department or security. And it gives a lot of productivity benefits, right? I can set up my own automation, my own processes, my own policies for how I like to work, which is great for me. It's improving my job, but making the CISO more worried, because now the biggest problem with that is that I'm, as a CISO, I'm not really sure where is my most important data is. If there's so much automation and so much data moving from one system to another, and this is controlled by the end users themselves without any centralization of that, there's some kind of problem. And to give a little bit of glimpse of how AtmosSec's trying to solve that, We're trying to give better visibility into exactly that, into what's moving from which place to what place, what is connected, what is out there in terms of visibility. And also we're trying to give some statistics on the behavior of those systems. Basically, I can see that this automation happens here and it's moving that kind of data, and you're in a good company. A lot of others do the same, or you're not in a good company. We don't see it anywhere else. So you as a CISO should look into that. Maybe there's some problem with that.
All right, it looks like our poll is up, and I'm impressed by Andrew because I saw a flood of bad ideas just come in within the last minute. So the poll is on. Please bring on Bryn, because we are going to play our next game, which will be I Object. Dutch is, oh, by the way, I've just gotten this information. Dutch is currently in the lead with 7 winning. This is winning bad ideas, which is huge. So huge kudos to Dutch. And number 2, I'm going to throw this out to the community. Who do you think is in number 2? Who do you think's number 2 has got the second most bad ideas right now? And I will let you know after we play I Object. I will bring is on with no camera. No camera. Bryn, what's going on? No camera. Oh, there you are. Or is your camera not working?
I don't know.
You don't know why your camera. All right.
You
don't know why your camera's not.
Series video.
Try this. Just refresh your browser and try it again and see if that solves the problem. And hopefully
while that's happening, that your question is a plug for next week, right? Hacking the promises of automation. And we start to branch out not just the built-in automation, but the low-code, no-code stuff of this citizen developer attitude that is literally bridging SaaS products across, and doing automation across it, which that becomes a whole nother nightmare of how do you manage that infrastructure. All right,
Bryn, you just disappeared again. We were going to do an audio version only with you, Bryn. Where'd you go? We're going to have it back in just a second, hopefully. Have they back? I'm sorry. They back? Just a second. I think Bryn is refreshing.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't want
to.
I see someone voted and they got it right.
We're going to have you on purely via audio. Are you okay playing via audio only?
Yeah. Normally the camera works. I'm wondering why it doesn't this time. Oh, well.
Hold it. Are you on a Chrome browser? Yes, no?
Yep.
Yeah, well, I don't know. All right, we're going to play regardless. This will be the first time we'll do an audio-only contestant, which I'm fine with because so here's how it works, everybody. I'll read the rules. For those of you people know, I have the quick written-up rules. Here are the rules. The game lasts 1 minute, but the clock stops when a competitor says, I object. Time doesn't resume until the judge says sustained or overruled. I'm the judge. At any moment, any competitor can object. Don't be polite. You want to win. So find a reason to object. The one who is speaking on the microphone at the end of the minute will be the winner. All right. Misha, you begin. Bryn or Sean at any time can say, I object. Wait till the time stops at that point. Wait till I say sustained or overruled until we continue. Misha, begin. Oh, the topic, by the way, is how to protect a SaaS ecosystem. Misha, begin.
Excellent. So as many other problems that we're trying to solve in security, we have to start with visibility. This plays into what Sean said at the very beginning of this show. We need to see what is there. What are all the SaaS services? What is the shadow SaaS? What is installed? What is used? What is unused? And how those things connect. That will bring us to a huge map.
Object.
The connectivity.
Okay.
Object.
Objection. Jeez, you let him go on too long.
No,
What's your objection,
I wanted him to go long because I knew he was running out of runway, and there was a disaster.
What's your objection?
Coming.
Running out of runway. I'm sustained there. Go ahead.
I object that doing inventory is not enough, but you need to prevent rogue SaaS connections and have not only what have you purchased, but what's happening outside of that spectrum. And so it's not just your CMDB and your approved inventory, but what's happening in an unauthorized space. And since no one's going to object, I'm just going to keep
talking.
Well,
Bryn, object. What's your objection, Bryn?
Before you even inventory what you got, you have to set things up when you're buying them. You got to make sure that you go through some vendor assessments.
Sustain. Keep going, Bryn.
Make sure you go through some vendor assessments, get check with
I
your
object.
Hold it. What's your objection, Misha?
I
With
object.
SaaS services.
I object
Hold on.
to
No,
Misha.
you can't.
I
He hasn't
object
said
to
anything
Misha.
yet.
You said I can object anytime. I object to Misha.
Hold on.
Um,
Listen to
idea was gonna
Misha's
be
objection.
bad.
With SaaS services, no one has to know that I installed something. Lots of those services are free,
Sustained.
and even
Go
if
ahead.
they're not, I can buy them with my own credit card. The thing is that eventually, even if I buy things with my own credit card, if I want it to help me work, I'll have to connect it to all the other systems.
Misha wins.
I objected
mic-
him.
You did object, but in the
Yes.
middle of an objection, you had to wait till you could have just waited till after I
I
said
objected
sustained
his
and then objected.
objection. I objected his objection. It was a bad objection.
Bryn, thank you so much. Bryn, thank you so much. Bryn was last week's winner of the best bad idea. I think that is her first win. Yeah, because she wins a jacket on that. All right. So by the way, Craig Herder actually got it right. Kevin Hackinson is in second place.
I believe Dutch also called it out.
Dutch also goes, yes. Kevin Hackinson is in second place with 6 bad ideas. So, Kevin, if you want to take over Dutch's bad ideas, his leadership position, you are only one away. Is Kevin on today? I didn't even see if he's on. There you go. All right, let's get back to the thing. We are, by the way, we are going to. Let me check out the at 30 minutes past the hour. We're going to play Department of Yes. So we have votes in, but we need a lot more votes. So get into that poll and start voting. All right, let's go to our questions. We have another question in from Craig Herder. When pursuing the SaaS model, should you be downsizing your IT shop and using the available requirements to staff up security? I'm going to start with you, Sean, on this one. This seems, I mean, this is going back to our earlier question. If you were going to go all in on SaaS, I mean, are we actually downsizing IT at the same time?
Yeah, well, it depends on the business you're in, right? For us, that was a shift in your IT force. It was maybe less infrastructure, but more application developers because we did a little bit more, that's more of a cloud transition, right? We had more IaaS and PaaS type stuff. And so if you're in a business that's not building that type of environment, yes, you can absolutely reduce some of your workforce in the IT support section, IT operations side. You don't need server admins, you don't need infrastructure admins, et cetera, especially if you go truly, let's go absurd, truly zero trust and got rid of, networks, corporate networks and just did like Wi-Fi.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever, I can't imagine, like when you say downsize, I'm assuming you're more shifting rather than like, well, you're only IT, but you're shifting. You don't take people
it depends.
offline.
I think you do. I think there are absolutely businesses that can't. My experience has been businesses that do work in the technology space, right? We build apps or we're providing a digital service. But in a situation where if you were providing nothing technological and you were just using technology to enable your business, then you can absolutely reduce your staff because you wouldn't need nearly the amount of support required. And if you go full BYOD zero trust model, you're reducing the help desk that's supporting basic tickets, and so you can definitely reduce your footprint, your human footprint, the more you go into SaaS. I think it just depends on what your business case is.
All right. If you have not chosen an item in the poll, go ahead, look through the poll, pick your favorite bad idea because we're going to be playing that in just about a minute. So hold tight. All right. So let's get to some more of my questions that I have. This is, I think, is right up your alley, Misha. So you said that part of the job of AtmosSec is showing the visibility of all your information, where it's traveling from SaaS to SaaS systems. So this question ties into that and is, how is giving users the power to actually do the integration across the ecosystem actually causing the issues? And really tell me from your experience of what are you seeing?
Yeah, so the basic problem here is there's no centralization. There's no one who is, in a way, managing what's going on. So a lot of communication, a lot of automation happen more than once. One thing that we see a lot is that different users use different systems to do the exact same thing. So what you do is you share the information that you have with more than one system, and thus increase your perimeter. One good example that we see absolutely everywhere, and there's no good solution here in many cases, is that people use both, companies use both DocuSign, DocHub, and a few others. So you put all your legal and important documents in more than one system. So by that, you increase your chances of anything going wrong. The other thing
this just goes back to the basic theory of security: is complexity is the enemy of security. So
right.
You're essentially saying the environments are already complex. We're showing you how complex it is. Is that kind of the idea?
That is correct. We're also trying to, there's so many SaaS services. So just seeing everything without context is also problematic. So DocuSign and DocHub is a relatively simple idea, but suddenly you have 5 apps with completely random names. Just figuring out, like going to Wikipedia on each one of those and figuring out, do they even do the same thing? Is a complex task, and tools are needed here to be able to figure out, oh, those 5 apps doing the same thing. Maybe I don't need all 5 of them and one is enough, and figuring out which one is the better one, maybe.
All right. We just got a call that came in.
Hello, welcome to the Department of Yes, where no request is ever rejected.
All right. We got a lot of really good bad ideas that have come in here. So here we go. This is actually some Oh, I like this one. All right, here's a good one. In fact, I'm going to vote for it too. I'll start with you, Sean. Here we go. Remember how the Department of Yes works. You may not be facetious. You have to tell me why this is a good idea. And think about this, applying this very advice. Crowdsource your SaaS security on Fiverr. So for you those who don't know, Fiverr is I think the bottom of the barrel consultant service, or not consultant, but just, getting someone to do a task for you service, not even at that level. All right. So why do you want to crowdsource your SaaS security on Fiverr, Sean?
I supported that one when they posted it in the chat. I said, yes, that's been saved my ass more than enough times. That's how I come up with my logos. No, Fiverr is just a what's that?
Marketplace.
No, I was trying to think. It's gig work for technology, right? And it's just a place for me to shop for gig work. I think that's a great place for outsourcing your work. It's no different than me outsourcing it to a large company. I'm just outsourcing it to individuals based off of tasks. It just requires a little bit more micro breakdown.
It's as simple as that. Yeah! Misha, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to crowdsource your SaaS security on Fiverr?
I first of all want to continue Sean's idea. It's really great that the second job of CISOs will be, instead of driving Ubers, answering requests on Fiverr. This is a much better use of their very limited time.
Wait, are you saying that CISOs would be more effective selling their services on Fiverr? You're saying much better use. Like, holy crap.
Well, it's a department of yes. It's okay, a department of yes.
Some of us, yeah, I agree.
Are you insulting our guests right now? All right.
I've met a few CISOs.
Oh, by the way, who said that very first one? Oh, the first bad idea was Dustin Sachs. Good job, Dustin. All right. I think actually
that's not good. That's not good.
I think this next one actually might be Dustin as well. I don't know, but unencrypt everything. So this is, by the way, this is for you, Misha. Why do you want to do this? Unencrypt everything so it's super fast. Why do you want to do it?
That's a good question. Yeah, first of all, productivity. Security is second. First of all, like, if the company is not doing what it's set up to do, it doesn't matter how good the security is, the company will fail, right? So you first of all want to make sure productivity is up there.
Just concerned about productivity. Bravo! Why do you want to do this, Sean?
I think this is doing stuff in plain text is the equivalent of telling people the truth. If your truth is so absurd, no one believes it. And so if you do everything in plain text, they're not going to believe that that's the actual secret recipe of your chicken sandwich, or they won't believe that that's the actual algorithm you made all your money for. So doing it in open plain text, I think, is going to throw a lot of people off. They won't believe it.
All right. Oh yeah. And I'm also confused by your answer. So
You've never heard just tell people the truth and they won't believe it, like when it's that absurd?
that's it. Well, also, truth is stranger than fiction. I've also
Yeah.
heard that one
Yeah.
too. All right. By the way, our two winners on that one are Dustin Sachs and Joshua Bregler. Please be ready in about 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to play. The two of you are going to face off and argue why your bad idea is worse than the other person's bad idea. And Misha and Sean will judge the two of you to not judge you personally, but judge your bad ideas to determine which one truly is worse.
Depends on
But
depends
it's
on
possible
how
they may judge them individually as well. By the way, if you have not clicked the link at the bottom of the screen to register for the video chat, please do. And did I mention that we're having their meetup at the end? I don't think I did at the beginning, but for those of you who have never joined our meetup at the end, we do a meetup at the tail end of this. So please stick around for that. It's a lot of fun. And Misha and Sean will be there as well. All right, let's jump into our questions. Let's see if we have a new one here. This comes in from Phil Wolf. So are posture management tools able to interoperate so you and your business partners can share knowledge and get smarter, faster, stronger together? Misha, you're nodding your head. You're saying yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
No,
All right.
Next question.
Yeah, sorry. So yes, and in general, collaboration of both the security tools and everything else is growing in terms of allowing multi-company communication. There's a lot of power in doing the things together. A lot of power also in learning from mistakes of others. So I will also say that the whole idea of whenever a company is hacked, you have to let everyone know about that so everyone can secure better. And, all those things are the offline version of actually using tools that help you do that more automatically.
Mm-hmm. Sean, posture management, how you feel?
I'm in. Like I mentioned earlier, how many people had to go look this up. It's one of those things I mentioned to a couple architects, and they kind of go, I never really thought about that. And the closest thing I could probably, I can explain it with specifically SaaS posture management, but to give you an analogy that I think people would all understand, when you have Grammarly as an extension in your browser, that's probably a good thing. You think that's a good thing, but in reality, that's just a keystroke recorder, right? It's just recording all it. So is that a threat to your company? And a lot of people don't think about it in that way. They're like, oh no, it's helping me write better product. In reality, it could be, taking all keylogger. And so if you think that in your SaaS products, you have a bunch of different products. I love the SaaS integrations. It's easier for me to approve leave with the Workday to Teams integration than it was before. I used to have to open up an email and click this, go into Workday and find the task and approve it. Now I just click the button and approve. But that means that my HR system's connected to my chat system. So there's definitely some posture management that needs to be observing that to make sure that we have secure communication, that the APIs don't get compromised in a way. And then also you have Slack, who doesn't have Giphy plugins and birthday bots and all the other stuff. Misha actually brought the birthday bot example on, and what if it's a really shitty plugin that someone compromises and now they have access to your internal environment that you thought was trusted, and you're going to believe it.
Yeah, and I want to add the example from like 2 weeks ago, I think it was, that the phishing attempt on Microsoft that published an application called Upgrade. And the thing is that it was trusted by Microsoft. They went for the verification of Microsoft. So if you would install it, it's already trusted. So not even compromising existing apps is a problem. There's also a problem of just bad apps coming up and being trusted by the big players, but not necessarily good ones.
All right. So I have a question that I'm throwing out to you, Misha, and this is, you talked about, all the integrations happening, you're getting the visibility. So can you answer this question? And that is, what are the integrations and automations we need to worry about, or is the answer to that, it all depends? But then I come back, if that is the answer, I would come back and ask, well, aren't you seeing trends? So let me ask you that.
Yeah, so this is a good question. So I think there are two categories of things we need to worry about. The first one is the same example that I just gave about the Microsoft upgrade thing.
Right.
We need to make sure that we can trust those new integrations that come in, or not necessarily new, but integrations that come in, and we don't know much about them. But even if the marketplace thinks they're trusted, they're not necessarily trusted. So those needs to be worried about. The other trend that we see is actually around old things that you've installed a while ago. You might have installed something 5 years ago and did the full due diligence, read the docs, understood what it's doing, even monitored it for a while. But 5 years have passed. Upgrades on SaaS happen automatically. Things change. The ecosystems change, and some API become deprecated. So some features even stop working. And we see a lot of that applications that were installed 5 years ago not necessarily do what you expect them to do by this time today. By the way, one more thing that we see is applications that were installed 5 years ago. Since then, the company went out of business. The domain became for sale again. You can buy it and get an HTTPS certificate for that and keep serving something else on the app. We did not see it abused yet, but this is an avenue that can be used.
This goes right back to this old theory, Sean, that I've said before, or I actually asked the question of the community, and it said, is there anything in security that is set it and forget it? And the answer is no to that. So, in your experience in terms of automations and integrations, what are you looking for at all times in terms of security concerns? Like antiquated stuff, I like what you just said, Misha.
Yeah, and it sucks because you want to put like timelines. You want to have a review. It's kind of like the UAR process of compliance, and everyone loves that part of their job. But that's what's necessary. It's about making sure what's happening underneath the covers, underneath the hood, is still what you intended it to be. And so how do you do those checks outside of a manual piece right now? Outside of an SSPM type system, or outside of manual checks, and even then the SSPMs might miss some of those pieces because they might be valid, might both be valid, they might both it might both work, and authentication all works, but it's one of those things where you as a company, from a procedural piece or governance piece, don't want those two items connected. But someone who had the appropriate rights did it. And so unfortunately, there still has to be some level of approval in that process to really be on top of it. Now, reality is we all live with a little bit of risk, and we just, we follow up. If you're in a risk averse environment, then maybe you do have the bureaucratic go meet the engineering review board every week. But if you have a little bit more risk tolerance, then you might say, okay, well, these things will let people kind of get away with because it's a low impact. So,
by the way, interesting question here from Paul. I'm going to throw this one back to you, Sean. He says a bit left field, but I don't think it is so much. How do you overcome the potential concern of being held, quote, hostage by a captive SaaS provider that doesn't believe in portability or openness? Which, by the way, I ran into this problem myself. And after it was one of these, I got burnt, and I go, never again. And that's a requirement. So do you feel that, also you're CISO at a company, you weren't there since day one. So they may have some stuff there that you feel a little locked in, yes?
Yeah, I hate that shit. I'm a technologist, and I believe in open standards where possible. I think there are some instances where it's not necessarily right to have an open standard, but perfect example is SMS and chat type things where you have the iPhones that can't communicate to non-iPhones, right? So I think Bryn hit it perfectly during the I object portion of doing the validation ahead of time, where that's a requirement. So we actually just went through this recently where we're doing some application security testing reviews, and one of our requirements is the list of connections that they need to have, and they need to produce an open their API standards, and we're reviewing their APIs that we can access to make sure that it works with our environment and any future selections. So that's one of the things that it's part of that planning phase before you get into. Someone's got it.
They got their speaker on.
Go.
Dustin and Joshua just joined us. I think he just muted himself.
So it's it's part of that pre-staging, setting your requirements before you get in, go on a date type thing with a vendor.
All right, excellent. We have both Dustin and Joshua who have joined us right now for the arguing as to why their bad idea is worse. And let me just make this very clear to both Dustin and Josh. Dustin, if I remember, Dustin, your bad idea was the Fiverr one, yes?
Yeah.
Dustin's Fiverr. And Josh, your bad idea was unencrypt everything. Okay. So do me a favor, just make sure you mute when you're not talking, because I think you're both coming out of your speakers. But let me make this clear. You were arguing with each other as to why your bad idea is worse. So let me stress this enough. Think WWE trash talking the other opponent. I want you to take Josh down, and Joshua, I want you to take Dustin down. Dustin, you were first. Why is your bad idea worse? And Joshua's is no good. Go ahead.
Mine is worse because Fiverr is just, anybody can sign up for Fiverr. So you have no idea. There's no background check being done on anybody. You've got no idea what you're getting. And the whole idea is to find the cheapest possible provider so that you're saving as much money as possible. It's the worst idea.
And then why is his no good? It's not nearly as bad as yours.
His is no good because you're not really, it's not gonna solve the problem. It's not gonna, his idea is just horrible.
But yours, you have to point out why yours is worse. His is not bad enough, is what you're saying.
That's a garbage argument.
Yeah. Hold one line, Dustin, quick, and I throw it to Joshua.
My idea is just the worst.
It is bad. I take that. It is horrible. Joshua, I throw this to you. Unencrypt everything. Why is unencrypting everything far worse than finding talent on Fiverr?
You know what? I'll go ahead and hit both at one time. Even some schmuck from Fiverr is going to accidentally hit that encrypt button every once in a while and is still going to be able to go ahead and encrypt and or configure something. They might even Google for a minute. Well, the fact is, if you're unencrypting everything, you might as well open the doors, because if you're unencrypting, chances are you're doing pretty much everything else wrong as well.
All right. Good arguments. I throw this to Misha and Sean. Misha, which one of them is worse? Who truly has the worst idea? I go with you first, Misha.
I have to say that I started believing that we started a conversation with me believing that the Fiverr idea is worse, but Joshua convinced me. He convinced me that there's, even a broken clock is broken watch is right twice a day. Someone in Fiverr will click the encrypt button. That's
okay.
Good
they
argument.
literally will stumble upon it like monkeys in front of a typewriter.
By mistake. Let's finger it.
All right. Sean, what do you think? Which one's worse?
Yeah, I have to go with Josh as well. Encrypt by default's built in as well, but I'm not even so much worried about that piece. Fiverr, I don't care who did it. I don't care if they're doing drugs or not. As long as I get the end product and have rights to it, it's no different than open source. I just paid $5 for it.
All right. Which, by the way, I don't think anything on Fiverr is only $5.
No, it's hell no, it's not.
Nothing on that site's $5.
Not if you want anything worth a damn.
All right. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you very much, Dustin. Excellent job to both of you. And we have just about 11 minutes left in our chat. I'm just going to remind everybody to click the link to register for next week's video chat, because guess what? If you register now, you're eligible to win an awesome CISO Series jacket, and we're going to have a brand new logo on it soon enough. Hopefully that, in fact, I saw the first round of designs. They look great. So looking forward to that coming out soon.
And I was confirmed earlier that once I achieve 10 appearances, I'm getting epaulets. So
yes.
Awesome. I'm in.
It was funny. We've been talking about other swag that has sort of to show that, people who are multiple time winners and like challenge coins, things like that. I'm open to any suggestions anybody has about that, because we do have
I'm a fan of challenge coins, but
Challenge
I'll
coins?
do hash marks like the military does on my
There
sleeves
you
for
go.
every
Or you can put
appearance.
stickers on your helmet too as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's go. I have one last question here. Oh, you know what? This question is really what you answered earlier, Misha, but I had a question about, do integration automation that work today stop working tomorrow or the next day? Yes. Okay. Anatoly's got a question here. This is a good one. I'll start with you, Sean, on this one. Who should own the SaaS budget, security, business, or IT?
Wait, is this a bad idea one or no?
Just asking who should own it.
I think that gets into a bigger conversation of, if you want to see me kind of like, and I don't hide my feelings in any meeting. Earlier this week, my CEO said it, and I was kind of pissed off. It referred to IT as a cost center. I want to map back as much of the IT to the business as possible, but I think that the budget is owned by the IT organization. It just needs to get mapped back appropriately as part of the business, if that makes any sense. I think the reason why you want it owned, there's a little bit of who holds the purse strings, kind of controls what you have, and so that helps. That's kind of your governance structure, so that you prevent multiple uses of the same tool, so you can create some efficiencies. But I think that the budget should be mapped back so you can show who each person's spend is. I think it's just a mindset thing, though.
All right, I throw this to you, Misha. Do you have an opinion on this question?
Yeah,
actually?
so I have an opinion. I feel like the lines are a little bit more blurred now. In the past, it was clear, we buy this security system and we buy this IT system. But today, many of the security systems do IT and vice versa. And you might want to buy one SaaS service instead of another because it's more secure, but you're buying it for IT reasons to begin with. One more conversation that I had actually this morning with a potential customer, they asked us if we can help them reduce costs of some things. And we said, like, when we reduce your exposure and and the risk potential by deleting a user from a system that it doesn't use anymore, it also reduces cost. So just adding, in some cases, like, here we reduce the exposure by removing those 10 users, and it also saved you whatever $200 for the IT department. So those lines are very blurred right now.
We said, hey, we're going to get the good idea. Completely forgot. We got to get the good idea poll. In fact, what I'm going to do something in reverse. I'm going to have you give your summary statements now, and also any sort of pitch for AtmoSec as well, and how to contact you. And then we're going to come back to the poll because we only have a few minutes left. Remember, register for next week's video chat if you have not done that already. And please vote on the good idea poll, which just came in, of which we have quite a number of good ideas. Let me wait till you guys start voting. So we're going to do something in reverse order. I'm going to start with you, Misha. Any kind of closing comments on this discussion we have about securing the SaaS ecosystem? And please make a pitch for AtmoSec as well, and how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, so I'll close with the very opening comment of visibility. We need better visibility into not just the SaaS services themselves, but the connectivity and the ecosystem as a whole, right? We need to look at the ecosystem as a complete ecosystem and not a bunch of separate systems, because they communicate a lot, they share data a lot. This visibility with the explosion of SaaS services is not enough. You also need tools that help you figure out what's interesting, what's important, and how to improve them. Because even if I only care about 20 most important SaaS services, figuring out what settings should be and what automations should be set up in each one of them is a lot of work, and it changes all the time. So tools are, generally speaking, needed here. AtmoSec is helping with solving that. You can find more information at atmosec.com. There's also a option to click for a POC, for a quick POC. I will also say that installation of AtmoSec on your SaaS ecosystem is very simple. It's a 5-minute install. It's all in the cloud anyway, so just click yes. The department of yes. And this is installed, and the POC can be as quick as a few clicks, and you get a report of what is out there in terms of visibility and importance, and continue from there.
By the way, here's a good idea that came in. I'm going to go to you, Sean. It's already got a couple of votes. Ask, and again, this is just 10% better. Ask your SaaS provider is able to reply to a subpoena and provide your data to law enforcement. Yes means their customer data encryption architecture is not great, even it could be acceptable. You're laughing at that. Why, Sean?
Yeah, shit. The amount of meetings I've sat with legal trying to get anything out of SaaS providers, I think like I mentioned it. I don't remember. I was on a podcast last month or whatever. We mentioned it. I have every single contract I've ever seen. I've seen our side legal try to get indemnification, and I have never once seen it be added to a contract. It's just, and that I think that would kind of fall into the same boat where the SaaS providers are good enough to provide a structure or an infrastructure that doesn't allow them access into the environments. And I think that's AWS kind of proved that out very well. And so when you start getting into the SaaS ones, that becomes a little bit interesting because you want a valid company that can do it. And I don't think that if they were able to address a subpoena, they would be more than prepared. They should be to show that, and they're going to just say, here's how our structure is built, and we don't have any access to the actual data, and then their hands are wiped clean. So I think it's an interesting idea, but I don't think that they're going to agree to it, even if they were fully capable of doing it.
I like this other good idea that just came in. And by the way, speak up if that was your good idea, the one I just read about getting legal clearance. SaaS increases your fourth-party risk. And again, speak up if this is yours.
Yeah.
Do you really need all those SaaS integration features that will allow anyone to exfiltrate data easily and outside your monitoring capabilities? Is this something that Atmosec can do, like let you know, like here's where it's going, and these are things you should shut off? Misha, yes?
Yes, we definitely have that. We also have a few features around to see the trend line of usage. So, for example, one thing that we see is a sharp increase or sharp decrease in moving of data. So something that we actually see for customers like, oh, wait a second, there's a much big synchronization of some data from some SaaS services. And then the CISO can say, why does it happening now? Go to HRC. Oh, this person is just about to leave the company. Let's stop it right away or do whatever needs to be done legally on that.
And then this good idea, 10% up. I mean, this is like what everyone knows, but it bears repeating again. Regularly verify the security configuration of your SaaS systems incorrect if necessary. I think it is necessary, but like, how do you do this on a regular basis, Sean?
You don't. You can't do that. That's like asking everyone to do a data inventory on their hard drive daily. It's just not going to happen. And that's why you need a tool that does it, like an SSPM tool. I'll give the plug for Atmosec. But you need that because that's literally what the P is. Watching that posture, making sure that there weren't unauthorized changes, or there were authorized changes and you have a log of them, because you are going to have to show the log of authorized changes as well. So yeah, you're not going to do it without a tool kind of helping you along the line. It's just, it's too chaotic.
I would improve the good idea to really become the 10% more.
Oh, this is exactly what we just said. Yeah. Everyone's piling on.
Exactly. No, but I'm saying it's the same idea, but don't do it manually. Have a tool that does that for you daily or constantly.
All right. Well, then let's bring this sucker to
Sorry
a
for
close.
piling on.
No.
You're right.
This is excellent. Everybody's excellent. The chat room's been alive, and a huge kudos and a round of applause for our chat room, who's been kicking butt today. This is probably one of the, I think we're probably going to be the highest number of comments we've had in a chat in a long time. This has been pretty spectacular. So kudos to our audience, all of them. And I'm hoping all of you show up at our meetup. And in fact, you know what? I got to share my screen and quickly wrap this sucker up because we only have about a minute left. So we do that very fast.
In case you didn't see it, Dave, I said I will pay half if someone gets a CISO series tattoo. Just the CISO series part,
do me a
not
favor,
the whole
do
sleeve.
not get a CISO series tattoo.
Yeah,
I'm
advertising.
Look, we're changing the logo design. You could have.
Yeah, we'll wait for the new one, and
that could change.
I'm your marketing department.
I appreciate that. I don't want people getting tattoos. Next Friday is actually February 11th. That date is incorrect. Please come. Hacking Promises Automation. You see the link at the bottom? It's changing right now, actually, because Andrew's going to change it to our meetup. So go ahead, Andrew, and do that. But remember, if you register by next Tuesday at 5 p.m., you're automatically entered in a raffle to win a CISO Series jacket. All right. Thank you to Misha's company, Atmosec, for sponsoring this very video chat. Great. Please check them out at atmosec.com. Hey, starting in 90 minutes from now, cybersecurity headlines we can review. Our guest is Brian Lozada, who's the CISO of HBO Max. We'll be covering the top 8 stories of the week, and he will be giving us context on those stories as well. Stick around for a meetup. Click that link right now. Gosh darn it. And tell your friends to join us. It's every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Eastern and 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And if you want to sponsor a video chat, I would start emailing me now. Guess what? We're booked up through the first half of the year. July is when we have our first available dates for sponsorship. So ping me about that if you would like to do that. I'm done. Click the bottom of the screen. Let's do the